chapter of club history, but they're not done. They want more. They'll await to find out who they'll play in the semifinal draw next Wednesday, but for tonight, Bobby Smyrniotis, Forge, and Hamilton can celebrate as they come to Montreal and defeat CF Montreal by 2-1.
Job done for Forge FC. Fourth straight year. They go head-to-head with CF Montreal in the Canadian Championship. Previous three all went the way of Montreal, but this time the CPL side gets the better of the MLS side. 2-1 the final here in leg 2 after leg 1 was a 1-1 draw. Weather delay and all, we are still here with you. Canada, Andy Petrillo, Gareth Wheeler, and Jordan Wilson. We weren't going to miss this. I will say...
That is incredible, that effort.
And give it the love it deserves, and kudos to the fans as well who stuck it out. That was an hour-and-a-half weather delay. They came on out. They started to cheer this time around. They were trying to get their club back in it. CF Montreal does get a goal, courtesy of Wanyama. That man right there, though, that we just saw, Chris Kalongo, coming up with some big saves here as Forge locked it down. They just really got the job done. They absorbed the pressure, and they joined some elite company as being just the third CPL team to defeat an MLS side.
The fourth time it's happened. A reminder, this is just the 6th season of the Canadian Premier League. And already 4 times, a Canadian Premier League club has beaten a Canadian MLS side. That is an incredible accomplishment. Just simply stunning. This performance, all guts, Andy. Like, the composure, the commitment by this team is something special. Like, CF Montreal threw everything they could at them in the second half, and they just hung in there. They never looked like they were panicking throughout. And I think the reaction of Bobby Smyrniotis, right there at the end of the game, is just like, shake your head. That's what they expected. This was a business trip.
So Cavalry Pacific Forge actually defeat and dismiss an MLS side. But yes, last night, as we saw, Cavalry beat Whitecaps as well, just ended up losing on aggregate. Well, let's welcome to the show now one of the goal scorers, the winning goal. That's Kwasi Poku, who gets it. 2-1 the final. He's also our Gatorade performer of the match. Welcome to the show. Congratulations on the victory. How is it feeling on the pitch right now? I mean, I know you had this hour-and-a-half delay. Maybe it kind of felt like it took the air out of the balloon a little bit, but you guys came on out. You needed the energy. How are you all feeling?
It's a great moment. It's obviously something we've never done before, and we came with hunger, and we did exactly what we came here to do, and it's on to the next.
Okay, so Kwasi, I'm looking at the starting 11, and I see your name up front, not in your preferred position on the outside. Have you played up front before, and what was the directive by of Coach Bobby just in terms of the overall game plan for you? Because you were a pain, and you end up scoring really the match-winning goal and the goal that decided the tie.
Yeah, I played up front in my youth days. You know, Bobby had a lot of faith in me and my abilities, and I just wanted to show everyone that I'm versatile and that I can play anywhere. So it's a great moment for me, and I'm just thankful.
Kwasi Rude Boy Poku. Brother, I was talking about you before the game. I said you have pace, you're versatile, you did a little cross for celebration. You're all calm, cool, and collected right now. You scored a match-winning goal. Talk to us about how if you liven up a little bit. Give me something, Papa. Because this is an incredible moment. Like, you took the goal in stride and went to your favorite left foot. But this is big man things. This is huge. How do you feel right now?
Yeah, the cross is obviously for my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. It's just, I'm just soaking it all in. It's not really hitting right now, but I'm sure it will when I get calls from my family, and it's just surreal right now, a dream moment.
Well, it's been a long night because of that weather delay. You gave it your all in the first half. You came out, gave it your all in the second half as well, and well-deserved moving on to the semifinal. Congratulations, and I appreciate you taking the time.
Big boss.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys.
They really are. Forge is all business. I think some of that, too, is just, I mean, they are exhausted. This was a long night, but emotionally too, more than anything, right? Because something that we discussed heading into the weather delay is, what do you do now? How long are you going to rest? Do you eat? Should I start stretching? Do I start warming up? Do I take an ice bath? Do I take a shower? I don't know. Do I take a nap? Like, what do I start to do here?
Do I eat the fruit gushers that are looking at me, or the fruit roll up?
Do I take the protein bar or the pizza? Like, what am I doing right now?
It's not every day. This is all I want to say about Forge. Well, I have a lot to say about Forge, but it's not every day we have two halves of football that are completely different. One where you go and take it to a team and play your possession style, also have composure, get 2 goals. But then roll up your sleeve and have a big boy man performance. Headers where you have to go and win, close down guys, everyone locked in. And this is beautiful to see, because the 4th time now that Forge is playing CF Montreal, they put it all together, right? An image I have, just bear with me quickly. You ride a bike once, you fall off. You have to learn. The 2nd time, you fall off again. The 3rd time, you fall off. By the 4th time, you're grooving on that bad boy. They were grooving tonight. The balance was there. Everything. The chain was moving. These guys now can go and make a push in this tournament.
It's just, you're right. And the fact that there was that weather delay just added a whole other element to the equation. But these young men, I mean, they stepped up.
Locked in.
Like, a goalkeeper in his first year starting for this team in Kalongo. Cool, calm. Para could have been the player of the match. Like, he just was so consistent, scored a goal playing down that left-hand side. Garvin Matusala is an MLS player. Someone will realize that. He's an MLS quality player. Like, someone's going to realize, like, what are we doing? Ashton Yodiance, Malcolm Duncan in his first year starting for Forge at right back. Did he put a step wrong in the entire game?
I counted 1 missed pass.
I mean, Hajabrapor won every ball in the middle of the park. The experience of Kyle Becker keeping this group together. And then I can't say enough about this group. It's not just that they went on and won this game. It was a matter of how. They looked at Pacific. They looked at Cavalry twice, having beaten the Vancouver Whitecaps before. They're like, it's our turn. We've done just about everything, and now they're in a semifinal of the Canadian Championship. Something, the one box that they haven't ticked off as of yet. So it was a Herculean effort by this group, and they deserve all the praise that they're going to get.
Let's go through their goals. They came in the first half. Para getting Forge on the board, and it was quick. It was in the 14th minute, Jordo.
Yeah, and they're playing Forge style, right? Kalongo does a little slip, but still has a composure. Duncan does what any right back should do, is switch the play right here and really expose. You see Para just making that underlap run. Benny Benabanga and Para have quickly gotten to know each other and have combined. And here, just patient, boom. A little slap shot, a little quick one, right? Keeper should do a bit better, but Para, look, pointing, getting himself in that area and being patient. And then when it's his time to let it go, he does just that.
That's a left back.
Inverted left back.
Getting up there and playing, finding his spot, good strike. Again, another player from Monterey, another savvy pickup by Forge. But by the way, 2 of their other off-season acquisitions haven't even played a minute with them.
They're not even in the country.
Apamoa and Cisse haven't even played yet. So, just that set the tone for the entire night. That coming in the 14th minute. And then all of a sudden, Montreal, it seemed like they were on the ropes. Second goal came. Then they knew they had to score 3.
Yeah, they started to see the mountain was getting higher to climb here. But, yeah, it was 10 minutes later, 24th minute, the man that we just interviewed, Kwasi Poku, ends up getting the goal, something we debated in the pregame show. You weren't sure if you liked him up front because he does have another role.
Just never seen him there before.
Yeah.
And in a game like this, look like Forge, it's like a boxer saying, you can punch me, come at me, because I'm going to counter-strike. Ball over the top, Chouanier checked well. Came to the ball, creating that space over the top, and Poku holds off Corbo. Campbell, I mean, he had a rough night, George Campbell. I mean, he's completely out of position here. The pace, again, a player who typically plays left wing back, left mid, attacking left side, had played a different role. Smyrniotis said before the game he felt like, based upon what CF Montreal in their profile, that he had a role for him specifically up top tonight. And anyone who coming into this or any other game says, Bobby Smyrniotis, I don't know if he had the chops for the Canada job. Like, this guy is good enough to coach anywhere. Like, wake up. Like, this guy is a wonderful coach. To have the guts to play a player that's never played there for him in a game like this here tonight, I mean, it was a genius move by a genius head coach.
Outside of guts wheels, you don't just say, hey, Poku, we're going to play you there. The preparation that leads up to this match, right? Going into, this is a guy who, yeah, he's played at the 10 when he was younger, had stints playing up top, but is a left-sided, left back, left midfielder. To go and play a number 9, Bobby Smyrniotis had to sit him down, do the film, and say, this is what I want you to do. The second goal is exactly what Bobby Smyrniotis told him to do. You want to know how I know? Because literally, you want a player to be vertical, and that's what Poku did. Came off the shoulder, ran in behind, falls sweetly to his left foot, 2-1. Or 2-0 at that point, but the 2-1, that was the goal that they needed.
Another young player who, in many ways, I guess, was thrust into this position for Forge is Kalongo. He's been biding his time, but he obviously gets the opportunity with Tristan Henry leaving the club. And I don't think anyone is looking back. And you look at a game like tonight, where even though they were up by a couple goals, CF Montreal came very close to getting on the board in the first half. If not, you could make the argument tying it. And he came up with some big saves. And then in that second half, completely under siege, under pressure, he had to be on his toes. 22, amazing reflexes.
Andy Petrilla, no one loves a goalkeeper more than you.
That's true.
But I will say this, it is justified with Kalongo. It is not just the saves that he's making, it's, look, the confidence and composure that he has when things are going, when shots are coming at him. This guy's 22. He looks like he's been in the CPL, in the Can Champs, many a time. Look at that. Strong save, controlled, relaxed. Wheels, you want your keeper to be this even keel all the time, and that's what he is.
Well, a couple things that stand out. One, he's replacing Tristan Henry, one of the best goalkeepers in the history of the Canadian Premier League coming into this season. You know, difficult spot for a young goalkeeper to live up to that expectations. Two, he's coming off his weakest performance in the starting role on the weekend against Vancouver. Had an Olympico scored, I know. Some young players, that gets into your head, right? Like, just how is he going to bounce back? And the fact that he did the way that he did tonight against the CF Montreal side, you know, again, full credit to him. He was just composed. The composure just, like, runs through this team.
And when they punch a ball away, there is a method to also that type of madness. You don't just willy-nilly punch it, because oftentimes you can punch it, the rebound goes to the opposition. Am I going to start breaking this down? Call John Conway. You know when to catch it, you know when to punch it. When you punch, you got to punch it far. He was doing everything right. That's all I'm really trying to say here. And yes, I will always argue for the goalkeeper to be the player of the match whenever I get a chance.
He could have got it today.
He could have gotten it here today. We had a good debate here in studio, just letting you know that. But here's the other thing. There were just players stepping up for Forge all night long. And when Bobby Smyrniotis even made his substitutions, one in particular in the 68th minute saw Owolabi Belawu come on in, and he made some great defensive moves as well.
I think Forge finished the game with a back 6.
Yeah.
I think he was part of it. It's got to be harsh that he's being kept out of the team. I think he picked up a little bit of a knock, and he missed some games, and he doesn't start a game like tonight because you have Matusala and Ashino Janssen play that position. What a block right there. I mean, that was with about 20 minutes to go in the game. Look at this, Bill Saint, who was very good, by the way, when he came to the game for CF Montreal. Probably should have started. Boom! Another big challenge right there. He's got size. He's got the wherewithal at the back. Just, it's a center back factory at Forge, whether it was Crutzen or the man tracker last year, Matusala, Owolabi Belawu. I mean, these are all top defenders. David Edgar, I think there's no coincidence the fact that he's part of the coaching staff now. Very, very decorated player, had a great career. Just another one of the players. Again, Duncan coming in. We could have given them the Gatorade performer of the match to, you know, take your pick of 6 or 7 in this team.
But Matusala and Owolabi Belawu, they're ready.
Yeah.
Like, what I like about this as well is you can see the progression. I remember seeing Owolabi Belawu play a year ago, 2 years ago, and same with Matusala, and a little bit out of place when they go to Saputo, right? When they play CF Montreal. Not tonight, right? You see the steps, and this is why the Bobby Smyrniotis and coaches in the Canadian Premier League have all my respect, because they're making players better. They're playing games, they're playing over 30 games a season, but you can literally see the visible improvement. Tonight, they were class. And before, you could see the potential, but now I think they're accessing it.
There is a feeling of something turning here, right? Like even last night, Vancouver Whitecaps hadn't lost at home in the Canadian Championship since 2019. Cavalry manages to beat them last night. And even here, CF Montreal, they've always been good at home in the Can Champ. I believe it's been since like 2018, same thing. Now Forge goes in. You just kind of feel like a tide is turning a little bit here. And perhaps Laurent Courtois, his substitutions were made a little, too little, too late. But it is a 2-1 victory here tonight for Forge. They're moving on to the semifinal of the TELUS Canadian Championship. When we come back, we'll hear from the coach, Bobby Smyrniotis.
Toyota's electrified vehicles are for everyone. Every chauffeur, snack connoisseur, every scenery soaker, practical joker, every road tripper, toe dipper, every 9-to-5er, every long driver. Starting over 20 years ago with the Prius, we now have the largest lineup of electrified vehicles in Canada because this journey belongs to everyone.
Do we really have any choice at all? Everyone has a choice, and every choice has a consequence.
Which do you choose?
Life's full of tough choices, isn't it?
How do you choose?
From the edge of your seat or up on your feet, let them hear you cheer.
Here are your full-time stats. Para, Poku, your goal scorers for Forge. Wanyama getting CF Montreal on the board, but it wasn't enough. They were going to need 3-4 goals if they wanted to move on. Instead, it's the CPL side who gets to do so. Here's their head coach, Bobby Smyrniotis.
It's some tradition. We're a club that's 6 years old. We think big all the time as a club, and to be able to do that, one thing that we don't have is this trophy. So that's how you look at it, and it's a tough road to get there. We know what happens or what you need to go through each round, and our next round becomes tougher, but you have to think big, and if you think big, your players think big, and we get good results like we did over these 2 games. This wasn't 1 game. It was 2 games, I think, of our team playing good football back in Hamilton and here, and now we move on.
Hi, Bobby. How tough was it to stay focused with this long delay, almost 2 hours delay here tonight?
To be honest, we've been through it before a couple of years ago in CONCACAF. The difference is there's still lightning and they're making you play. But we had, I think, about an hour and a half in El Salvador. I think the tough thing is you go into that second part and you have 2 teams that really need something very, very different. And the time off, and I don't say this with how the game went, but it always favors that team that needs more. And that's Montreal, because they've got time to regroup, to think, to replan maybe things. And then you've got a group in ours who knows they're up in a score. And sometimes that could be a problem. And we saw that in the second half, where we defended a lot more than we wanted. But I think that's a byproduct of that break. But we talked about it in the break and trying to make everyone aware of that situation, and just know that you're going to have to suffer and you're going to have to be resilient in these situations. And the guys did it great.
Okay, we'll now head over to Zoom. We'll start off with Charlie O'Connor-Clark. Go ahead, Charlie.
Charlie went to sleep.
We can Maybe you did. Okay, one more time. Guys, any questions on Zoom, just use the raise hand icon. I'll get to you guys. We'll give it 2 more seconds, and then if not, we'll move on. Okay. Go ahead, Alex.
Congrats, Bobby, on the win there tonight. What did you make of the way you guys started the game, came out with a clear plan, and the way you guys executed on both of the goals?
Yeah, I thought it was very good. We were very positive in the way we started, trying to keep our tempo, play our football, and really expose some spaces that we had looked at before the match. And I think we did a good job in the first game in Hamilton. But, you got to make sure you increase the frequency of doing the things that work. Because this game is about numbers, unless you like to play with chance and luck, and they're not my friends. We like to do things by design. So today, I think we started off that way. And if we look at especially the second goal with Kwasi Poku getting that in that area, it's something we worked on, we looked at in finding those isolations with Montreal's center back a lot of times in these 1v1 situations with a lot of space in behind. And he did it well, and we've put Kwasi Poku in a position where he hasn't played a lot, but his qualities help there, and he's been rewarded with a goal, and it's a goal that gets us through to the next round.
Perfect. And that's all the questions we have for you today, Bobby.
That's it. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Let's take an opportunity to wax poetic about Bobby Smyrniotis.
Gets it done. Yet again here tonight. This is a big moment in club history. This is the first time that they beat an MLS club and the first time that they advanced beyond this. They played in a Canadian Championship final, but that was one in the COVID-shortened year where they just played in a final for Toronto FC. This has been a place, we cannot stress this enough, it's the Stade Saputo, where they've been smacked around 2-0 and 3-0, and some good teams ended up losing really badly with more of a whimper than anything else. That was a statement performance here tonight. They're up to their best start ever in a Canadian Premier League season as well, Andy. So sky's the limit for this club as we head into the summer months.
Well, he once again acknowledged 6 years in existence. They just keep getting better with years. We do have to say that this is a young league, and we're seeing that turn. And again, last night we saw it with Cavalry, Whitecaps, but just Cavalry going out on aggregate, even though they defeated the Whitecaps last night. Toronto FC, they defeated semi-pro side from Ligue 1 Quebec, CS Saint Laurent 8-1, 11-1 on aggregate. Tonight it's Forge who's moving on. Just one more to go. That's next week.
A CPL team beats an MLS team.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I've been saying. Then we got one more to go. Quarterfinal match May 29th. And then the semifinal will be set. When we come back, we'll talk CF Montreal. Stay with us here on One Soccer.
Gatorade. With electrolytes to help replenish what's lost in sweat. Carbs to help fuel your working muscles. And fluids to help you hydrate. Scientifically formulated so you never stop competing.
I do this for my town, my time, my time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
Rehydrate, replenish, refuel. Gatorade.
To play. It's something that's in us from the very beginning, and something we take with us on every step of the journey. When we have no words, it gives us a way to speak. When we are still finding our way in the world, it gives us somewhere to belong. And no matter who we are or where we come from, it gives us the right to dream.
Christine Sinclair, as she scores at her 5th World Cup. Alfonso Davies!
It's time to celebrate the game we love. It's time to play.
CF Montreal getting one back here in the second half. They had about 3 or 4 corners in a row. Forge was just under siege, and then they do end up capitalizing on one of them, Wanyama, getting the goal. What did you make of just some of the changes that CF Montreal made in that second half and the pressure they were putting on Forge?
It seemed like the team that played in the second half was maybe perhaps the team that Laurent Courtois should have started from the beginning. Good goal by Wanyama. He's still an absolute load. He had a really poor first half, though. And it was troubling to see the lack of options in terms of when the game progressed. Courtois ended up taking Wanyama off, put on Samuel Piette when you need 2 goals. And for all of Piette's qualities, goal scoring or creating goals isn't one of them that you think of when you think of Samuel Piette.
Yeah. Our boy, once again, Jordo, just was so excited by the results here tonight. So I think he's lost his voice.
Yeah.
That's it.
The question is, just to segue from that, the question is, if a loss like this, in everything that's transpired over recent weeks, whether something like this will cost Laurent Courtois his job. That is the undeniable conversation right now. Got some great footage from our One Soccer team. Samuel Piette, longtime captain of this club, you know, the local face of what CF Montreal is all about, discussing with supporters. We don't know what he's chatting with them about. The fans decided not to cheer, be silent, to protest against the club in the first half. Unfortunately, when that happens, and it wouldn't, you know, take anything away from the fans and how serious this matter is, but who loses in that scenario are the players. They have a home game in the first half where it was eerie and lifeless.
But that was the point, though,
exactly,
right? That was the absolute point.
And you see it, unacceptable. And that's what they're saying about the club right now. Unfortunately, it's a guy like Piette, one of the good guys in the game, that has to, you know, front up and face this in times like this.
I will say this does appear, this is very cordial. It's almost like they're pleading cases, stating their points, because if you remember, it was almost a year ago at this time that things were so bad between Toronto FC and their fan base. And a fan threw a megaphone at Marc-Anthony Kaye when the players and supporters group got into it. This looks more like a little bit of a conversation, because I can understand where the fans are coming from. You feel completely helpless. Again, this has been years of turmoil and talk and turnover and disgruntled players and disgruntled former employees taking to Twitter saying things are, if you think they're chaotic, what you're hearing about, you don't even know the half of it behind the scenes. The fan base going right back to the rebranding wheels. This fan base feels helpless. What else can they do but put up those signs that say unacceptable, by silencing their own voices, now trying to plead their case to the players? They're trying to send a message to the ownership at CF Montreal.
Never mind what's happened in the distant past, what's happened in the recent past speaks volumes. The sporting director, Olivier Renard, big part of the project, well-liked, ends up leaving. There's questions about how the decision-making structure is at the club. You have the MVP of their team, another local player, Canadian, Mathieu Chouanière, reportedly requesting a trade. Beyond that, we thought that this team would be okay coming into the new season with the new coach. Looked like they'd made a couple decent acquisitions. A lot of players get hurt, and then maybe the lack of depth and the lack of quality in this team really starts to show. They spend less money than anyone else in Major League Soccer. This was a club under Wilfred Nancy just two seasons ago. We're setting club records in terms of how good they are. And we understand when you need to sell on players, but when you do that and you don't spend money to bring players back into the club, which will keep them competitive, then you hire another manager who stays a year in Losada. He's out. You bring in another guy. He may be out. What looked like Courtois tonight, it looked like he was managing not to lose the game, but it looked like a manager that was on the brink of potentially losing his job. He made 7 changes to a team. Players like Waterman, Piette, Lassiter off the bench. Ruan wasn't available. Sirois wasn't in the squad as well. Like, it looked like he was just throwing a bunch into the blender and hoping that something came out okay. I mean, that's no way going forward. He needs to think, like, I came from a club in Columbus where I succeeded, where there was a clear vision amongst the front office, and a club that's had really good recent success, into a state of what's happening here right now? This is the crazy thing. When you lose a sporting director, people are questioning how decisions are made. And look, inevitably, this falls on the shoulders of the owner.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I know the easy move to make is get rid of the coach. That's across sport
sports.
everywhere. But in this particular case, do you think that actually changes anything?
I don't. Maybe. I mean, 10 years ago, Joey Saputo said something very similar. The fans deserve better. There will be changes. What changes are going to be made? Are you going to go on to your fourth manager in, 2.5 years already? Like, I don't see that being the way forward. I think in the summer months, they need to really invest in this squad. I love how they're giving local Canadian players a chance to succeed. I agree with that should be the heartbeat of the club, but how are these decisions being made, and do they reflect? It's not just on the field, by the way. I think fans feel disenfranchised to a certain degree by the decision-making process, why they took a stand like that here tonight. So, look, I think Courtois is a really good coach, but is he in a situation where he can succeed? By evidence of it tonight and the way that he managed that game, it's not looking good.
Well, now they have to turn the page, and they're going to try and turn things around in league play because they haven't won since mid-April.
They just got rid of their manager as well.
Yeah, and so that'll be the goal for CF Montreal, because for Forge FC, while they do obviously have to pay attention to league play, they're still in the Canadian Championship, and by the end of next week, they will find out who their opponent will be in the semi-final. You've been watching the TELUS Canadian Championship Leg 2, the quarterfinals here on One Soccer. What a night as Forge joins Pacific and Cavalry as CPL sides to defeat an MLS team in the Canadian Championship. Thanks for sticking with us, Canada, through the weather delay. One more quarterfinal game to go next week. We'll see you then. Good night.
To play. It's something that's in us from the very beginning, and something we take with us on every step of the journey. When we have no words, it gives us a way to speak. When we are still finding our way in the world, it gives us somewhere to belong. And no matter who we